Trojan horse being the freedom of speech stuff with Twitter with Elon and kind of going towards the right. But like he has previously been on the left.
I think
everything app.
I think
everything else.
I think he pretty much like. I think he's described this beautifully, where he says that like the Overton window has shifted so radically to the left that like those who were like center left are now like center right. You know what I mean? Like you know and I think he's accurate. I mean you know like Donald Trump, like a lot of his stances and viewpoints, like pretty much like the 1980s Democrat platform. You know what I mean?
He
Like,
was a Democrat.
yeah, yeah. It's like you know what I mean? Like. So I think really we've just seen such a radical shift of the Overton window having to do with the media and like these just totally elitist people that are in the media that are just like pushing all this propaganda and nonsense and total woke Marxist culture. You know, that would be my take, right? But so I think Elon's genuine and you know people's opinions, different things can change over time. But
I will say, so I don't know if you're angling about WeChat or not, but you know, I mean, I would agree generally that like I think Musk obviously came in, you know, what he did was difficult, and what Zuckerberg has done is like go with the flow. I don't think we need to trust Zuckerberg, like let him shift the Overton window back a little bit. But with Musk, I do think that there is a very significant Trojan horse, whether it's intentional or not, I'm not sure. But he has been very vocal about wanting X to be the everything app. He's explicitly compared it to WeChat, which is the everything app in China. And I think that, you know, I think we could be walking into that. So
I think that's a fair point. And also like power breeds desire for more power kind of thing. So it's like, it's all about like, well, where's the puck going? You know, you could start out with a super noble. I think it's important that like he's born with like a good moral ethical compass, but that doesn't. So it's a good foundation, right? And if we're juxtaposing him and Zuckerberg, like maybe Zuckerberg's not, right? But does that mean that like his, you know, it's like okay, well now you can listen to conversations, like you shouldn't be doing that, but like it's kind of juicy, it's kind of fun, like maybe I'll just listen to one more conversation, right? Like it's not, that's how like psychology works.
Interesting takes.
There's always an arc. Like I think, you know, maybe Zuckerberg is on a journey, maybe not, but to your point, Elon could be on a journey too.
Well, at the end of the day, everybody's only human, so
yeah, it's
you know,
true.
What was the quote? It's like live long enough to see your heroes become enemies and your enemies become heroes, something like that. Like that's like a good thing. But you know, all I can look at is what is someone's previous behaviors and like what decisions do they make in the past. You know, like your previous decisions and choices show like kind of what you might do in the future. So you know, I've seen Elon make some very principled stands and do certain things that go beyond just like power and money. Like they're more like foundational. But you know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
What do you got next for us on the docket? We're flying through these today. Treasury fines $31 million in Social Security payments to dead people. Calls it tip of iceberg. Why are we not surprised? And I bet you all those checks are being cashed, just like all those ballots that they're mailing out everywhere are being sent in for all these different elections. You know, like they're sending out, you know, billions of dollars to just like into the void. Imagine how bad it is when it's like not money. It's like literally like just ballots and all sorts of stuff. I mean, this is shit's got to end. I mean, it's such a grift. And at the end of the day, it just comes back on the taxpayer, you and me. You know, we all have to pay this bill. And you know what? No more. This is getting ridiculous. It's got to, hopefully Doge can do something here and stop all this.
Yeah, I think it's actually like less of a conscious, like nefarious, you know, activity, and more just like an inefficient system, right? It's like I make this analogy when I kind of have some conversation. I'm like, everybody's been to the DMV. It's hell, right? That's like what. You know, that's a government entity.
Now
and
imagine
that's
the government at scale.
Yeah, exactly. It's like basically DMV. It's like a giant DMV. Do you think that the DMV is going to operate more efficiently than, you know, incentivize private citizens? No, it's just like by nature. You know, you show me the incentive, I'll show you the action.
Yeah,
so it's just like the systems kind of just messed up, and I don't think like there's people who are like, oh, steal, let's steal. Like, sure, if you get the check, you're like, okay, I'm not gonna. Granny passed away. R.I.P. Granny. They keep sending me checks.
Right.
I'm gonna keep cashing those
They
checks.
show up.
Right?
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And that accumulates.
yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
What do we got here, Paul? Doge. The last time a comprehensive review of the federal government was completed in 1984, the budget was $848 billion. National debt was $1.6 trillion, and debt to GDP ratio was 38%. The budget is now $7 trillion. The national debt is $35.3 trillion, and the debt to GDP ratio is 121.6%. Do any of you guys know? Like, I think there's like once the debt to GDP usually gets over like 100% or something like that. Like,
Your
statistically and
X years.
historically, every single one of those nations has had like catastrophic failure.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Like,
It's a debt spiral.
The debt spiral or whatever it's called.
The debt's gonna go parabolic.
I think it was like Japan might be
Yeah.
might like this might have not happened in Japan yet. It might be the only country that has like operated like with a negative debt to GDP ratio for an extended period of time.
Our debt to GDP is 125%. I'm pretty sure Japan's is like 270%
Yeah.
or 263%. So like we still have some wiggle room, I guess, is like some people's argument. But
They also have a fiercely loyal culture where you're like, you can kind of do that. Paul and I were talking about phalanxes earlier, like very tight fighting force where you move together as one. Like, you can kind of run that gambit if you know that, like, Japanese folks will continue to buy Japanese bonds for the greater good, and that's just like deeply rooted in their culture. That's not how it works over here. We can't fucking agree on anything. So
I'm not even Japanese, and
really
I love
true.
Japanese culture.
yeah. So I think
the Japanese will still buy.
I'll still buy their
treasuries.
bonds as they keep cranking out anime and manga and great sushi.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
But China and Russia are out. I mean, we need them to continue to buy our treasuries, and they're not doing that anymore. So it's like,
I mean, why would they?
$100 over.
a little
We're
bit.
screwed.
Yeah, this is like
This is why stablecoin legislation is so important. We need to let people on chain, let the whole world who want dollars finance American debt. Like Circle, Tether, whoever can turn around and just fucking give that money to the treasury, collect a yield on it, and then people all over the world get access to the US dollar. Yeah. I mean, it's a no fucking brainer.
There's this is an unpopular opinion, and I think like you got to try. Like, you always have to wake up and you got to try. We got a problem, you got to try to solve the problem. And Doge is a novel idea to try and solve the problem. But the debt is so significant, and that budget is like 70% plus of the budget. I feel like you would know more about this than me. It's entitlement programs, so like they're not gonna find like that much that you can really cut that's actually going to make an impact. It's impossible unless you're like, there's no more Medicare and there's no more Social Security, which nobody's going to do. It's not going to be, that I won't go that far.
Yeah.
Right. So I think like the only way out
Got to grow your way out
is you got to grow your way out of it. And that's why I think the strategic Bitcoin reserve is a real way to do it. And you can literally just print
Cynthia Lummis agrees with
currency to get out of it.
Yeah.
The only way out is actually through. Now, you can do both of these at the same time. So we can trim some of the fat,
of course,
but it's not like, oh yeah, we're just gonna like spend. We'll never have a balanced budget.
If they're sending 80-something billion, what is it, $80-something billion to just people who are no longer alive? I mean, let's start there. I mean, there's like some kind of entitlement stuff that it's not can be fixed, right? Like that entitlement stuff can be fixed. Once you're dead, you're no longer entitled to it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like that's ridiculous.
That's an example. So it's like with 80 billion of
you
like
could literally
80
solve
trillion,
hunger,
right? So it's like that's the dent that you can make by just like not fucking like just fix the stuff that's broken is a drop in the bucket.
Paul. Look up what it would cost to solve hunger and homelessness or whatever in the U.S. Like, you could literally take the money they're sending to dead people. It's like $50 billion or something like that. Like, you could take the money that they're sending to dead people and just repurpose it for that and solve that problem. So, I mean, like, there is ways. That is a common thing. I've been hearing a lot. I think I was speaking to CJ Constantinos, who was on, and we were talking about that. And, like, he raised the very similar points. But, yeah, I mean, I think there's creative ways to do this, and I think we should hit it from all angles.
Agreed.
One of the craziest statistics I've ever heard is, you get this nonsense about taxing and we're not taxing the rich enough. If you confiscated all of the wealth from all of the billionaires in the entire world,